The situation between Israel and Iran has reached a boiling point, with the possibility of Israel retaliating against Iran's recent missile strikes by launching an attack on its nuclear facilities. But what would such a strike entail, and what would the consequences be? The current escalation began when Iran launched a significant missile barrage against Israel on October 1st, 2024. Nearly 200 ballistic missiles were fired, striking key military and intelligence sites, including Nevatim Air Base and areas near Mossad headquarters. This attack was seen as retaliation for Israel's recent assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, and other key figures from Iran's regional allies. Although many missiles were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome defense system, some reached their targets, causing widespread alarm. Israel has a history of taking preemptive military action against the nuclear ambitions of its regional rivals. In 1981, Israel destroyed Iraq's Osirak nuclear reactor, and in 2007, it bombed a suspected nuclear facility in Syria. Now, with Iran advancing its nuclear program, speculation is growing that Israel might strike Iranian nuclear facilities to prevent Tehran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. If Israel were to strike Iran's nuclear infrastructure, the primary targets would likely include the Natanz and Fordo uranium enrichment facilities, both of which are central to Iran's nuclear program. Natanz, located in Isfahan province, is where Iran enriches uranium, and Fordo, buried deep inside a mountain near Qom, is one of the most heavily fortified sites. Natanz is equipped with thousands of centrifuges, capable of enriching uranium to 60% purity, which brings Iran close to weapons-grade enrichment levels. Although an Israeli strike could significantly damage this facility, the underground nature of the site poses a major challenge. Similarly, Fordo is even more protected, making it difficult for conventional airstrikes to penetrate. Additionally, Israel might also target Isfahan, where uranium is converted into gas for enrichment, or the Parchin military complex, where nuclear weapons research is suspected to have taken place. An Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear infrastructure would undoubtedly delay Iran's nuclear program. However, the immediate and long-term consequences would be significant. First and foremost, Iran would retaliate, and not just with missiles targeting Israel. Iran's military chief, Major General Mohammad Bagheri, has already warned that any Israeli strike would lead to a wider Iranian retaliation targeting all of Israel's infrastructure. This retaliation could take the form of a massive missile barrage targeting Israeli cities, critical infrastructure, and military bases. Hezbollah, Iran's powerful ally in Lebanon, could also join the fight, launching rocket attacks from the north. Hezbollah has tens of thousands of rockets and has previously proven capable of overwhelming Israel's air defense systems. Beyond the military consequences, a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities could trigger severe economic repercussions. If Iran retaliates by attacking oil facilities or shipping routes in the Strait of Hormuz, it could disrupt global oil supplies. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most critical choke points for oil shipments, and any disruption could cause oil prices to skyrocket. In fact, the Karg Island oil terminal, which handles a significant portion of Iran's crude oil exports, is already bracing for a potential strike. Reports show that Iranian tankers have vacated the area in anticipation of Israeli military action. If Israel were to target Iran's oil infrastructure as part of its retaliation, the global economic fallout would be immediate and severe, potentially leading to a surge in fuel prices worldwide. While an Israeli strike would likely delay Iran's nuclear ambitions, it could also push Tehran to accelerate its program in the long term. Iran might interpret the attack as a signal that it needs a nuclear deterrent to prevent future strikes. In this scenario, the attack could backfire, leading Iran to pursue a nuclear weapon even more aggressively. This outcome would be disastrous for Israel, as well as for regional and global stability. If Iran were to successfully develop a nuclear weapon, it would fundamentally alter the balance of power in the Middle East, sparking a potential nuclear arms race involving other regional players like Saudi Arabia. A strike on Iran's nuclear facilities would also have serious diplomatic consequences for Israel. While Israel has historically acted unilaterally in the face of existential threats, it has also relied on the backing of its key ally, the United States. However, President Biden has expressed reluctance to support an Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear sites, preferring a more measured response. Without U.S. support, Israel could face greater diplomatic isolation, particularly if civilian casualties or a broader regional war ensue. The European Union and other global powers have already voiced concerns about further escalation, and a unilateral Israeli strike could strain Israel's relationships with its Western allies. If Israel retaliates by striking Iran's nuclear facilities, the potential for U.S. military intervention is significant, especially if the conflict escalates into a broader regional war. The United States has already increased its military presence in the Middle East in response to rising tensions between Israel, Iran, and Hezbollah. Recent deployments include additional naval assets like the USS Abraham Lincoln and USS Dwight D. Eisenhower carrier strike groups, which are operating in the eastern Mediterranean. These deployments provide a show of force intended to deter Iran and Hezbollah from escalating the conflict further. In addition, around 2,000 U.S. troops have been placed on alert, ready for possible deployment to the Middle East. These forces, along with the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, are positioned to provide additional defensive capabilities, particularly in the event that Iran retaliates against Israeli strikes by targeting U.S. interests or allies in the region. Should Israel's actions provoke a broader conflict involving Hezbollah or Iranian-backed militias, the U.S. would likely become more directly involved, particularly to protect Israel and U.S. assets in the region. The Pentagon has indicated its readiness to defend against any threats that arise from the situation, highlighting the potential for a more significant U.S. military role depending on how the conflict unfolds. If Israel chooses to target Iran's oil infrastructure rather than its nuclear sites, the consequences could be equally severe. Iran has stated that any attack on its oil facilities, such as Karg Island, would be met with a large-scale retaliatory strike against Israeli infrastructure. Iran's military capabilities include a large stockpile of ballistic missiles capable of reaching deep into Israeli territory. Furthermore, Iran's proxies, including Hezbollah, could intensify their attacks on Israeli cities, pushing the region into a full-scale conflict. The stakes of an Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear facilities or oil infrastructure are extremely high. While such a strike could temporarily delay Iran's nuclear ambitions, it would also provoke a severe military and economic response from Tehran. The risk of a broader regional war involving Iran, Hezbollah, and potentially other regional actors looms large. At the same time, the global economic fallout, particularly in the form of skyrocketing oil prices, would affect countries far beyond the Middle East. Israel faces a difficult decision: strike and risk an all-out regional war, or hold back and allow Iran to continue its nuclear program. The next steps will have profound implications, not just for Israel and Iran, but for the entire world.